Hello everyone, this is Heather Wibbels at massagebyheather.com. I hope you're having a good afternoon. Today I want to share some tips for you on some self-massage and self-stretching techniques you can use after you've been out in the yard. The weather's been so beautiful lately. I spent a lot of time this past weekend working on landscaping and carrying bags of mulch and weeding and doing a lot of work in the yard, and had some tension and soreness in my arms and my lower back, and I wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I do to help relieve some of that tension in the forearms, the arms, the shoulders, and in the lower back. The first thing I focus on when I come in from being outside and doing a bunch of work where I'm holding and gripping and kind of pulling, such as you would do with weeding or any kind of carpentry work, is to work on the forearm surface. What I do is I find a table or a semi-hard surface, not a bed, something a little bit more firm than that, but maybe the edge of a desk or the corner of something, and I'll take my forearm, in this case I'm going to take the bottom part of my forearm, I'll press it on that corner and just pull down and run back up. So I do this very slowly, and what this does is the corner of the surface actually massages the underside of the arm. So I'm using pressure, leaning in with my body to do a little bit more pressure there. You can rotate your hand over, and so you work on the back of the forearm at the same time as you go down, and the under part of the forearm while you're going up. Try and do a little bit different angles with your body, see where you need the most pressure and see what feels best for you. If the edge of the table is very, very firm and too hard, what you can do is put a surface on it like a towel or a blanket, something to kind of soften that edge, and then use that to work on the forearm in that way. So once you've finished working the arm up and down against the edge of the desk, the next thing we're going to do here is take your other hand, the opposite hand, and make it into a soft fist, and use your hand that's getting the massage to press down a little bit onto those top knuckles, these knuckles right here, and do small circles. So I'm going to do about 3 or 4 small circles, and I'm going to go up the underside of the forearm. After I do 3 or 4 circles, I'm just going to move the arm up a little bit and move the knuckles of the working hand up towards the wrist. While I'm doing this, I am getting the knuckles between the 2 bones of the forearm, the ulna and the radius. And as I press down, I can feel the muscles moving around in there. And I can also feel tender spots. If you find a tender spot, just stay where you are, kind of lean in with your body a little bit more, apply a little bit of pressure to those areas that are a little bit more tender. But if you want to, you can just ignore the tender spots and keep moving up and down the arm. So go up and down the bottom surface of the forearm. When you're done with that, turn your arm over. And we'll do the same thing here. We're going to move the knuckles over just a little bit of the working hand, and you're just going to do some small circles again. Again, we'll do 3 or 4 small circles in each little spot. And we're slowly going to go up towards the wrist, from the elbow moving up toward the wrist. It doesn't look very exciting, but it does feel very good. Remember to make sure that if you find any real tender spots and you want to hang out, you can just hold there at whatever spot feels good for a little bit. Make sure you're keeping your hand that's in the fist relaxed. Make sure you're keeping this hand relaxed. You don't want it stiff as a board while you're doing it. The point of this is to relax the forearm after all the work that it's been doing. And once you have finished doing up and down a couple times here on both surfaces, the bottom and the top surface of the forearm, the next thing we're going to do is a little bit of work on the actual hands. One thing I like to do, since we did all that work gripping and holding and grasping, is I like to actually open up the tissue of the hand. So I'll use my active hand, the working hand here. I'm going to start just below at the wrist crease right here, just below it. And I'm just going to push my knuckles down and out the fingers. So start wherever you like. You may have just heard my wrist pop. That was my wrist adjusting itself. And I'm just going to push out towards the fingers. What this does is opens up the tissue that's been doing all the gripping, kind of loosens up some of the adhesions. And if you need a little bit deeper pressure, instead of pressing with your forearm, just lean a little bit more forward with your body, and that will give you a little bit more pressure onto the fingers. Go onto the fingers a couple times and take your knuckles and go out in the direction of the thumb. The thumb had to do an awful lot of work. It worked as much as the other 4 fingers together. So go ahead and make sure the thumb gets a good bit of attention. Once you finish working both the palm and the thumb, you can take your hand, just your working hand, and simply push down the palm. And if you do this without lotion, you're going to pull on the tissue a little bit, open up the joints, and basically just open up the whole area, get blood flow going, and keep the tissue from contracting as it cools and as you cool down, as you're no longer working in the yard. Again, with this stroke, you want to go down towards the fingers and also over towards the thumb as well. Make sure the thumb gets lots of attention as you do this. Once you're finished with that, move over and do some work on the other hand.